Hi, guys.
Hi. Clap on. Clap off. The clapper.
All right. So last time we talked about Johannes Vermeer and his career as a Dutch little master. Delft.
Did we ever figure out who the Dutch big masters are?
I don't know if
Who
that's
are
the
these
thing.
guys?
Little masters.
Yeah.
Johans.
So small. The little masters so small.
Yeah. We had a pretty good conversation about one of the greatest photorealists of all time.
Me and Reggie found a soundboard.
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah, we did.
That got a little weird.
That'll kind of play in the later episodes of the show, I believe.
Yeah. Things got out of hand.
Things got a little out of hand. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my favorite episode so far, this episode that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, so this is actually going to be coming out.
You better fucking like it.
What's going to happen if they don't, Reggie?
I will find
We're going to
you.
get canceled.
I have a very specialized set of skills.
So
And I will tickle you in your fat belly.
Liam Neeson's?
Yeah, so this episode's coming out this Friday, the 21st, which is the night before the North Brewery's 7th anniversary party. So we also have a preview of a whole bunch of their beers that they're releasing throughout the week.
We do.
We also review that party in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already
So
did.
it better live up to our review.
Yeah, coming up, we already did a
We
review.
gave it a pretty awesome review.
We did.
Yeah. So we have a few beers here tonight. We got American Dream, which is a New England IPA, 7%. That'll be coming out this week.
This is a delicious beer.
Then this one's pretty awesome. This one's called Famine, which is a 10% stout, I believe.
Yeah, it's another sturdy stout from the North Brewery with artwork by Dylan Utter, who we'll definitely have on this
Ooh.
podcast at some point.
Yep. So he does
Hear
it
that,
to the
Dylan?
label
Now
for
you
that.
have to.
Shout out to Dylan Utter.
And then after that, they did 2 bourbon barrel aged stouts. So they did my 2 favorite beers of all time, Oil and Cerberus. And then they barrel aged those. So all of these will be available over the next few days and this weekend.
Yeah. So get down to the North Brewery and check it out.
And there's limited quantities too, right?
Very,
Yes.
very limited.
Yeah. Some of them
So-
I think are 1 per customer. Oil is.
Yep. Oil is definitely 1 per customer.
And that's all you're going to need is one because it's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
You're going to get drunk.
Yeah. Very high percentage beer here.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
here
we're
is the episode
Enjoy.
Enjoy.
about
guys.
Johannes Vermeer. Johannes? Whatever.
Johans!
Damaged by you, damaged by me. I'm confused, don't wanna be confused.
Hey, everybody. We're back.
Hello.
Hey!
How is everyone?
Pretty
doing
good.
good.
How about you?
We're doing well. I'm thirsty. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks for asking.
Man, that anniversary party though,
That was a great time.
that was great.
The North
We're
Brewery.
talking about the North Brewery's anniversary party. It just happened on February 22nd.
Oh, man.
Because that's when this is going to come out.
This episode was not recorded months before.
No.
No, that party was amazing.
Yeah, it was great. There was a huge life-size butter sculpture of Zach Pedley there. It was pretty
It
intense.
was breathtaking.
Yeah.
A clown car kicked open and a bunch of midget strippers came out.
Yeah, it was crazy.
John Stamos showed up. I did not know he was so into craft
Wait, hold on.
breweries.
Yeah.
Were you there when Midget Kiss showed up and played on the bar?
I was.
Okay.
I was, in fact. It was the best night of my life.
Yeah.
that
They're
was
called
pretty-
Little Kiss. If
After
anyone
that, I
wants
kind of
to.
blacked out and I don't remember anything. But,
Yeah.
it's a good time.
It could be all
I might have
made
not even
up.
been
Who
there.
knows?
Yeah. Or there's just gonna I dreamt it.
Oh, yeah, so we're back again.
Hi. How are you? How are you? Good, I hope. Okay.
All right, let's go around and plug our shit. I'm Josh Ruff at joshruff.com on all the things, www.joshruff.com. And we're here at Renaissance Studios again at RS Tattoo NY.
My name is Reggie Cuvelier. You can find me at Reggie Inks on all of the things, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I like Instagram. That one's a fun one. I do tattoos here at Renaissance Studios, and I sell drawings and make fun little illustrations.
Tight.
I'm Christina Maslar.
That was rude. You excuse yourself. Right when your wife was about to chalk, you belch into the microphone.
It was just because you were talking.
Hi, I'm Christina Maslar.
On to Christina.
Yeah, Christina
now
_
you know.
Maslar on Instagram. Renaissance Tattoo. I tattoo and I paint as well. Brandon.
You gonna plug stuff or what? Let's go.
I'm Bam Maslar. I'm a painter. You can find me on Instagram at Bam_Maslar. I also co-own Crucible Gallery with this lady. www.crucibleartgallery.com. You can find us on Instagram at Crucible Gallery. And yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Reggie, why don't you tell us a little bit about this drinking game that you
Okay.
concocted?
So,
Oh, drinking game.
drinking. So, with the viewers at home or the listeners, if you're going to be joining in and going over some of these art history moments, then your cue to drink. Well, as we start naming off some of these consistent facts for people. A, were they born? Was there a death of a loved one early on in life? Were they not accepted to art school? Did they fail out and or drop art school? Is there creepy bedroom stuffs? Ooh, who knows? Later in life,
What do we do for that one?
we drink.
Yeah.
All of these equal drink.
Just take a drink.
I thought it was drink your whole drink.
Oh, a career
Oh,
shift
no.
later. You have to drink your whole drink if their parents outlived them and or they died in obscurity and only sold paintings after life. Therefore, you gotta kill it.
See, I feel like creepy bedroom stuff, like, you know, marrying a relative, marrying underage. I feel like that's more of something to.
Yeah.
I feel
To
like that
drink
happens
heavily.
Well, I don't really want to
often.
cheers to that.
I feel like we should
I'd
just
rather
pound a
cheers.
beer when they die just
Yeah.
to pay respects. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay.
Oh, did they live somewhere? That happens. That's a thing.
Oh, they
were
were alive?
Were there other miscellaneous tragedies? Did they suffer from mental illness and or go crazy?
All right.
Ooh, what's
There's a lot of rules here, so you're just gonna have
there's
to remind
only
everybody.
There are only 10s. Did things happen? Okay, main rule, did things happen in their life? If a thing happened in their life, you gotta
You should
drink.
probably just get a lot of beer ready if you're gonna try and follow along with us.
Okay.
On any one of these.
I feel like we didn't even bring enough beer. And we
If you
got-
guys are having issues following along, anytime one of these things are
Weird.
said, someone will hit you with an air horn. Then
That
you know
might
to-
happen.
Or some other sound effect that we
Yeah.
haven't quite mastered yet.
ruin that.
And if you're not 21 yet, you can drink a juice box. It's okay, guys.
yeah, if you're not
Yeah.
21,
Play
then
along. Yep.
All right, so does that cover all the rules for today?
Those are the rules, period. Whenever
Okay.
we talk about art history, those are the new rules.
All right, good.
all
All right, guys, welcome to Artist Profiles. I want to find out whether my favorite artist was as much of a bro as I was in college. So let's hang out. And if these mofos want to hang out and drink, let's find Evan. Oh, group question after the report is over. Would you rather drink, smoke, or do drugs with this person? Round table discussion.
Oh, that's a good
Ooh.
discussion.
Yeah, right?
Okay, I'm down with that. All right, so
Or
let's get to-
avoid. I mean, that can be one of the
Just
options,
straight-
right?
Just like smoke, or just like have a drink and bye.
Just,
Yeah.
No. Just admire
Not even
from
Drink,
afar.
smoke, do drugs, or stay the fuck away from.
Yeah, just admire from afar.
So before I start, I have a question for you guys. Just on face value, do you think Vermeer was a sweet, wholesome boy, or was he a G?
Well, let's just first say that we are talking about Johannes Vermeer today.
Yeah.
Yes, today's episode was specifically the Dutch Golden Age. Is that
Yes.
specifically
Yes.
his time period?
Yeah.
Because the Dutch East Trade Company brought in a lot of new money into Delft.
Delph?
Delft.
Delph?
Oh, that's where he lived. That's a fucking drink, bitches. He lived somewhere. Let's keep it going. What year was he born?
He was born in 1632.
He was born. That's a fucking drink.
Guys, do you think he was a wholesome boy or a G?
I'm going to say he was somewhere in between two of those.
Yeah.
He had some G qualities, but was mostly a wholesome young lad.
It's strange because like he seemed so nice, you know, but then I feel like I was watching this doc that was talking about his grandparents and they were all fucked up.
Yes, we'll get to that. That's
We
the-
will get to
so
that.
juicy.
So sad family life.
Yeah, drink.
Oh
Drink.
shit.
Guys, we're never going to get anywhere. We have to drink everything.
Okay,
Okay, while
wait.
you're drinking,
For
I'll
everyone
start.
at home, today's pairing, we are having a Green Rain, which is, what would you say this type of beer is?
It's definitely a New England IPA.
Oh,
I
it's a
believe.
nice IPA at a 6.4%.
New
Brought to you by
England.
the North Brewery.
Our lovely sponsors next door here.
So today, Vermeer, guys. So Vermeer
I'm really excited.
was born in 1632 in Delft. He was born to an innkeeper who sold artwork as a side business. The inn was in the middle of the town where all the rich people lived, but they were not rich. Drink, because he was poor, guys.
Oh, shit.
Poor.
Raised
beer. I
poor.
just drank,
I
so
forgot
I'm gonna
that,
count
Roy.
that.
Yeah, you forgot to go over
Raised
that one
poor.
was one of the drinking. So Vermeer's dad was convicted of manslaughter because he killed somebody when he was younger. His
Sad home life.
father, of course, got off on that, but his paternal grandmother was a con artist and ran illegal lotteries. Grandfather, on his mom's side, counterfeited coins with his son and
So
was
wait.
arrested.
So Granny on both sides were G's?
Granny on dad's side was a G. Grandfather on mom's side also a G.
Yeah, didn't it just like
Dang.
skate right along the legality of like gambling and all that hustler
Oh,
shit
no,
at
like-
the time?
Back then, people got hung and murdered basically
Oh,
for counterfeiting money. So
yeah. But that
don't-
was like the other the grandmother
Yeah.
was running the whole gambling
Yeah,
ring
she
and
was-
shit.
She
Yeah.
was like cleaning people's houses, but also selling their shit on the side that they didn't want, and then counterfeiting the
Classic
lottery.
Craigslist, can I say? Classic.
And then the counterfeit coins that dude made with
Uh-huh.
his son. He was arrested, but the other conspirators were executed, and somehow he was released. So that was like a big thing.
Nice.
So he
And-
conned his way out of execution.
Yeah. So that's where Vermeer came from.
So it sounds like his whole family was just gangsta as fuck.
Yeah, they were all G's. He was
The
a
old
little bit
Dutch
of a
G's. Were they
sweet
the
boy.
Dutch Master guys on the fucking Dutch Master?
I
That little
hope
painting
so.
on there?
So his whole family knew how to
shit.
party?
They did. So, because his dad sold artwork on the side, that's kind of where he learned some of his stuff about painting.
Nice.
There's not too much known about Vermeer other than like legal documents they found. But if you're able to pull up the Procurus, that's one of his paintings here from 1656 that he did at age 24. So that one there.
Isn't this believed to be a self-portrait right
Yeah.
here?
Yep, that's
yeah.
the only image that you'll see of him. That's probably
Wait,
his self-portrait.
how old was he?
He was 24, guys. Remember what
Young
you were doing
G.
when you were 24, drinking Four Locos, not doing shit?
Yeah, I
maybe
wasn't
playing Mario
making
Kart.
awesome paintings like this. I was just
Jesus
fucking off all
Christ,
the
he
time.
was this talented at 20 fucking
Yeah,
four?
24.
I had already given up 4 Locos at that point.
Oh, wait.
I was still drinking 40s.
I was playing death metal and getting hammered every day.
Do we know
I mean, I guess
anything
things
about his
haven't
art
changed
school
that much.
days?
Not really, because there's not too much.
That's
on
enough to
that.
drink on.
Drink.
Drink to art school.
Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Let me
man.
catch up here.
Art school.
So this is probably one of the only paintings that you'll see that kind of reflects his upbringing, because he was raised in an innkeeper's home, which is also bar downstairs. It was tavern. So
Poor.
you could see that dude kind of gambling in the background, grew up in that lady. He's drinking with his friends. There's some weird judgy person in the background.
Yeah.
Is that a nun, a priest, or somebody
Man, look
like?
how awesome this
judging.
painting is.
That's
though,
probably his
like-
grandma
dude, yeah,
playing
seriously.
lottery.
Yeah, that's true.
Can we take a second to talk about his use of technology? Because this is...
Oh yeah, we'll get into that. For
Okay,
sure.
if we're going to get into that, then I'll save it.
Save it for a later
Yeah.
painting, but like,
because you don't
fucking
see it
A.
too much here, but you will in later paintings.
Yeah.
But this one kind of reflected where he was raised, and he steers away from that as he gets older. But
He's
this is
a-
definitely more of a bar scene.
Yeah, it looks like they fucking partied hard
He
back in
is-
Delft, man.
The amount of-
Definitely like sneaking in for second base, right?
That
Because
dude's
she is
definitely,
like a lady of the night, so she's
Yeah.
just sort of kind of like
So there's
squiring the boys.
2 earlier paintings that we'll talk about here that might be prostitutes or ladies of the night, sex workers.
I just want to
And
talk about the
then-
amount of detail this dude got.
But right around this time,
Okay.
also in Delft and downtown near where his family's place was, there was a freak explosion of a gunpowder factory that like destroyed downtown. So that
Random early
affected
childhood
him.
tragedy.
Trauma. Trauma, guys, drink.
Oh man,
Fucking hell.
we might have to rethink this drinking game already.
Well, it'll be fun for this episode.
It's for group participation. The fans can join along.
The next one we can look at is Officer and Laughing Girl, which is from
Oh,
1655.
that
So
one.
he was 23 when he did this one.
What a prick.
You see some of the stuff that he uses more and later in life, not as refined here. But they think that that woman might be a lady of the night because of the map behind her, because she was worldly, and that she's flirting with that dude trying to.
I also heard that like during that time period that they like to collect maps because the Dutch were making so much fucking money at this time because of
Yeah,
their navy
trade.
and stuff, right? So that's why it's the Dutch East Trade Company. That was like
the East
why
India Trading
Delft
Company.
was so prosperous at the time period.
Yep.
And why there was
So-
so much money coming into the city.
Did you just say that this is less refined and
That is
not?
later work, because he did this at 23, guys. He was 23
Compared
years
to the
old.
one he just did that we just had up, I would say she's right completely.
It's not as polished,
Yeah,
for
some-
sure. His
some of the
yellows
edges
aren't as
don't look
bright.
as smooth.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's definitely not as polished. It's still a fucking amazing painting, though.
But one thing that you can see, because Josh will talk about this later when he did his little reflecting room, there's an optical illusion at the top of that map where it curves in the center. If you look along that straight line, so if you zoom back out, just the black bar, it starts to curve inward instead of go straight at the top.
Oh, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's something that happens later on as illusion from a lens.
Okay.
Yeah.
So should we get into his use of technology now then?
When he moves, which is very short,
Okay,
we'll
cool.
talk about it because he has a
I'm
room
dying to
he
talk
built.
about this if you couldn't tell already.
Everyone is so excited.
When he was, I have dates written down here, guys. Don't mind me. Shuffling papers, shuffle. Intermission, drink.
Is that a new rule?
Yeah.
There's awkward pause. Drink.
Okay, so in 1653, he married Catherine Bolognese. She was Catholic.
Life event.
Yeah. She was Catholic. So
Hey,
he
you
had
made
to
the rules,
convert
buddy.
to Catholicism because he was not raised Catholic. They didn't really know how they met because she was definitely upper class compared to what his family was. They think it might have just been from her family buying artwork. So after they got married, they moved in with her mom on the outskirts of town where all the Catholics lived. They just were super pious out there, and they just hung out and prayed a lot. So his mom, his mother-in-law, her name's Maria. She was separated from her husband. Her husband was super abusive, but he was rich. He made his money through trade. So she moved out, took Katerina with her, and took Johannes. So this is where we start
Johannes.
seeing more Johannes. This is where you start seeing more of his refined stuff because he has a room that he has built in the house,
Mhm.
and that
Ooh.
is his camera room. So it's built with a lens. that
So
helps
what year are we
reflect.
talking at this point then?
He married.
50s.
Yeah, he married her in. Sorry, guys. 1653 is when they got married and moved.
So, camera room. Now we're
Yes.
talking about the camera obscura
Yes.
Ooh.
because he was one of the first painters to use technology like that to transfer his paintings to canvas.
And he had like a little tiny, it was more of a cupboard
Mm-hmm.
it was supposed to be used for, but he turned that into his camera room.
Yeah, you can
So-
tell a lot with his later works too, because a lot of them look like they're in the same room. They have this similar lighting. Then they're mostly paintings of like middle class life in Delft.
Yeah. Which he had 13 children, possibly. 11 that survived.
Damn.
Hold on a second.
Wait.
Yeah.
So homie knew how to party.
He knew how to get down, and they all lived in this fucking house.
Vermeer been fucking.
But guys, he
Life
might have had upward of 15, but
Jesus.
we only know of 11 because the other ones probably died.
I feel like
Well,
that's how
that's
it
a-
was back in the day. You just tried to shit out as many kids as you could, and then
Because-
hope that a couple of them
Yeah,
survived.
maybe half of them, but a lot of his survived.
I
So
don't
they're
feel like that was a
all-
party moment. I feel like that was more sad.
You're ruining it, Bam! You're fucking ruining it!
But if you can go to his painting, Woman Holding a Balance.
That one, yeah.
Right here.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This one's a little bit different because he painted a couple of pregnant ladies, which wasn't very common for the time. Also, she's holding a balance, so that might have been because he was losing some of his children. She's basically debating life and death there of her unborn child.
Ah.
Well, that's
So,
Wait
and
a
you can
second.
see
What is in the background?
a
Is that-
religious painting. You can see the heavens there. So this is definitely something that I think it's just him reflecting on his family.
Yeah.
So
not
he
doing too
basically
well.
set up a room with his camera obscura, and that was just where he painted most of these scenes.
Yeah.
Because he used mirrors. Like, if people aren't familiar with what a camera obscura is, it's like a very dark room that uses a lens to and mirrors to reflect the image like onto his canvas, where he can trace it and stuff like that.
So the first primitive projector, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You could actually buy some of these online. They're about $100 to get one. It's more compact version.
Are you
but it
talking
helps
about
you-
like the camera itself or like the mirror?
the mirror?
Because there's also like, we'll get into this when we talk about the documentary Tim's Vermeer, which is basically this dude who's not an artist, but he's an inventor, figures out a way to paint like Vermeer, and
That's pretty
spends
awesome.
several years of his life trying to replicate one. But it's like a little kind of mirror that you can kind of put over the painting surface that you have, and whatever image that it's reflecting goes basically right next to where you're painting, so you can easily like color match and stuff like that.
That's pretty cool.
And there's a lot of like theory that Vermeer was the first photorealist because he actually used one of those.
Figured out a way how to trace things, guys. But that's why that bar in the background curving is so important, because that's proof of the camera lens distorting.
Yeah, it tapers and gets wide,
There's-
thick to thin.
It almost
so
makes
there's
like a
bowl.
curve, a bowing.
They
of
also
it.
talk about this in Tim's Vermeer, but there's examples of what's called chromatic aberration in some of Vermeer's paintings, which is basically when it's a failure of a lens to focus all colors to the same point. So you kind of get like this effect right here.
Oh,
It's
okay.
things that you see in like modern cameras, you know?
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of...
Yeah, if you squint at it, it looks more realistic than it actually does because it's just like a slight unfocus to it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's all the colors aren't converging where they're supposed to because of the mirror or something like that.
Yeah, it's a weird effect because if you squint and look at that, it almost looks like they're the same. But then when you focus on it, you see how the details are starting to blur out and whatnot.
And they're right about the whole rainbow edge.
Yeah. It just has like weird edges to certain objects, you know? And that's definitely very evident in modern cameras and stuff like that. Like any cell phone cameras or anything. So that's why people believe that he used a camera obscura to transfer his stuff to canvas and basically paint from it.
Another important thing about his paintings and why he was able to paint basically whatever the fuck he wanted. He had a patron that would just buy his paintings from him, so he can just do whatever, and the guy would pay for the paintings.
So he had a
Pay
sugar
them.
daddy.
Yeah.
He had a sugar daddy. He did.
As an art sugar daddy.
Nice.
Yeah, I heard that
Yes.
was one interesting thing
Nice.
that like that was significant of that time period, since there was so much money that was going through the Dutch at that point, is that they literally, it's like the first section of art dealers and stuff, people hustling and working your stuff. So like, yeah. Didn't
And-
him and like Rembrandt kind of dump artwork onto the same hustlers and stuff?
I
Kinda
It was the
have
same
No.
kind of era,
Yeah,
right?
it was the
Him and
same
Frans
era.
Hals. Frans Hals and Rembrandt and Vermeer were around the same time.
Dutch Baroque.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
The Dutch Little Masters, I believe they're called.
Dutch called it
They're kind of like Little Kiss, but with paintings.
but Dutch. And from the 1600s.
without the
And with
makeup,
painting.
and they don't sing,
And they're not midgets.
but they're little.
There's another painting, if you can pull it up. It's called View of the Delft. He did lots of people, but this one was specifically of just his city. It's a good, large trade town. He was said to use, because he doesn't have that many drawings. Like they don't have evidence of it when they x-ray his paintings. So they can have evidence that he did paint over this, though. So they think he used the camera to get the basic shapes down, but he would change things to make them look a little bit more appealing to the eye.
Seems like it'd be a hard thing to like capture on a camera obscura because you have to have like a dark room and shit like that in order for it to work.
But he apparently was such a perfectionist that some of the areas had so much paint on them they were probably cracking back then when he had first done it, because he just kept going back and painting over spots.
Yeah, I heard
to make it look better.
Like when that was
you can
that
kind of
piece
see
was
it
being
in this zoomed in image.
Yeah, and the buildings.
Yeah, when the piece was being analyzed, they found he actually like went back in. There were certain areas that weren't cracked, which implies that he was filling in the cracks by like trying to paint and edit, even though it was only already X number of months, years old. And
they know that he went back after some
it's like,
time.
fuck, that lady's in the wrong place. She'll look better over here. And then remake it, and then.
But yeah, he let's see. Trying to go in order here, guys. Sorry. But some of the things that we do know about him as well, other than, well, we know he lived with his mother-in-law for their whole life. She basically took care of them as a family because she had a lot of properties around Delft, and she was a landowner.
Oh yeah, I think I remember reading something about this. Like, yeah, she had a lot of places, but then there was like a flood or something, right?
Yeah. So
random tragedy. Shit.
So right before that flood happened, what happened is her and her husband were separated, and Katerina, she had a brother. Her brother's a dick. Brother decided to live with the abusive father. They would get into arguments all the time. So he showed up one day when Vermeer wasn't home and got into an argument with the mom and then started stabbing his pregnant wife with a stick.
Damn.
In the stomach.
More gangsta shit.
Wait, what?
His brother-in-law decided to show up because when Maria, his mother-in-law, separated, she got some of the money from the father. The father was abusive. The son decided to stay with the father. He showed up at his mom's house one day when Vermeer wasn't home and started arguing with the mother again and then stabbing his sister in the stomach with a stick, like poking at her.
That's pretty tragic.
Yeah, she was pregnant. So they had to call the cops, and then he was...
Actually, no, we can't drink to that.
No, I think the baby survived. It sounded like he was just trying to start
I'm sorry,
shit.
dead baby.
I don't think that one died. That one I think was okay. But he ended up in an institution because of this.
Institutionalized.
Yeah. His name was Willem, not William, guys. Willem.
Willem. We've
Nice
learned
callback
this
to
one.
a previous episode.
Oh. He didn't get defoed.
He did not. He did not get defoed.
So collectors would sometimes show up at the house looking for stuff, and he'd be like, oh, we don't have anything. Try down the road. And they think it was because he didn't want anyone being around because of his 11 children, his crazy brother-in-law, and all the shit that was happening around
Yeah, it
this
sounds like
time.
his family was a bunch of fucking psychos.
Yeah, which if you look at his paintings, like if you look at like Girl with the Pearl Earring, the woman holding the balance, everything looks very quiet, middle class, and everything in his life seems the complete opposite of that. He was just surrounded by crazy people, criminals, bunch of kids. Not a moment of silence, I'm sure, in that household.
Do you want to
And
get
he
back
was
to
just-
some of his paintings?
Yeah, sure. If you want to pull up a couple more here.
Yeah, it's probably not very quiet when you got 15 kids going.
All right, let's look at probably his most well-known work. This
Yeah.
is Girl with the Pearl Earring.
Yes, this one, recently they went back and the conservationists cleaned it up because in the 50s they put a sealant on there that had a ground in it to darken it because they thought it was too bright to make it more appealing to the eye. So that is what it looks like now, which is what
so
it
they
originally looked
heavily
like.
altered
Is it like a
probably.
clear oil varnish with a tinge of black to
A
it?
tinge of
Like,
black
man,
to it. So that's
and then
a
they had to scrape it
yeah.
off.
I
X
really
amount of years
hate.
later.
I really hate when people do that shit. Like, just be like, "Oh, I think it would look better if we."
They
did
just
this."
assume what
Yeah,
it should have
That's not
looked at.
conservation, you know.
they assumed that layers were removed from prior conservation, and this isn't what it looked like. But
Right.
judging by his prior paintings, it was supposed to be this bright and illuminated.
Yeah, because all you can kind of see all like these like umber tones here
Mm-hmm.
on the shadow side of the figure that look like they're not really supposed to.
And
be
this
there.
one, it doesn't have a background. She's just kind of on a ground. You know
Right.
what I mean? She's just on a ground plane.
he's normally very big on backgrounds.
Yeah, there's
Lots of-
like an A, B, and C ground plane. It's like figure A, figure B, and then
One-
background.
Lots of
and
objects,
background
lots
is
of detail.
embellished by the map in the background that we pointed out before, the balance beam and her fingers. There's like usually
windows, like all that.
One
yeah.
of the assumptions was this was someone that his patron kind of was in love with or had a crush on.
Well, yeah, there's
Oh,
that
yeah.
that whole
Yeah,
movie's
yeah,
about that. The girl with the pearl earring.
a supposed love affair between
Yeah.
a patron hiring him to paint her, but he falls in love with her at the same time.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like. I haven't seen the movie, but that was the
We have
description
not.
of it. Yeah,
In researching Vermeer, we found out that they did a biopic on him.
yeah, starring a
Mostly-
17-year-old Scarlett Johansson
Yeah.
as this girl.
Mostly, a dramatization about the background of this painting as opposed to a whole dramatization about his life is mostly the focus of.
I'm gonna go
So-
ahead and say it's just some
It's
Hollywood bullshit.
Yeah.
So
he
basically,
was
they
such a uptight Catholic boy. When he moved, I don't think he would have had an affair, especially in his mother-in-law's home.
So they basically just made up a whole bunch of shit about him and was like, "This makes for a good
'cause
movie."
The reality is his patron probably just had him paint this for some money.
So they
And that
got a
was
lot
it.
wrong. At least when we get stuff wrong, it's just because
We're drunk.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
we're not Hollywood. We don't have millions of dollars riding on this.
We're at least trying. We just forget about 30%.
30%, more like 6.5%.
Oh, I see.
because that's the alcohol content. No, that's a joke.
Oh.
So, what other paintings did you want to talk about, or was that all?
Those are the only ones I have written down. There are a couple
All right.
other cool ones that you can pull up.
Yeah, I want to
And
look
you
at
can
these
kind of
ones.
see the same setups of the room with that window there.
Almost
Oh wait,
exactly.
can we go
repeats.
back to the one of the ones we looked at before with the fucking just fuck, what was that one called?
This one.
The red coated guy sitting all the way in
Oh,
the
that
front.
one is the first one. The Picurus is that one?
No, the second red coated guy that was in the. There we go.
Yeah.
Do we
Yeah.
have the floor plane?
I
I
mean-
remember somebody making a note that he always liked to paint on a checkered board floor
Oh,
to
yeah.
show that he was a fucking G and had a mastery of fucking perspective. You know what I mean?
Sure there might
Like,
be at least one of those.
Tiled floors going into the background in precise perspective.
I think it just had to do with that room because if you look, it's the same window again.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, look at the setup here. It's obviously the corner of a room,
Uh-huh.
and then if we jump
Almost
right,
every
right into
piece.
this
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
that's the same fucking room. You know,
It's pretty damn close. Yeah. That one it seems like it has a lot of warmer tones, but it's hard to, after what we mentioned about the art restoration, it's hard to know whether I was actually painted that way or whether that was somebody else noodling with it later on.
Yeah.
Did he lean towards more of realistic, warmer, or
well, he did have prolific use of lapis lazuli, like bright blue based pigments,
Okay,
which
yeah.
were kind of rare back then.
Yeah, yeah.
and it was a very
They were-
sought after color.
Yeah, there was a time when that was just reserved for like the Virgin Mary's clothing, and someone used
Yeah.
it for something else, and people lost their fucking mind over it. They were like,
like,
"You,
oh, you
you use
wasted-
that blue for what?"
How dare you? The Szechuan sauce.
Yeah,
So going back to the whole camera obscura thing. So they're claiming that he's kind of tracing what he's seen in real life.
yeah. I mean, he's using it to transfer like the outlines of everything to the canvas,
Okay.
presumably.
see the way
when
the
they
way
X-ray it, they basically he didn't have any kind of pre-drawings other than what
right.
they
Well,
X-ray. on
well, you
the
also
canvas.
mentioned about the whole like color matching and all that. Like it seems like it would be off though. Just for the simple fact of like the sun and the shadows would change as he's sitting there. It's not
Yeah,
going to look
yeah.
exactly the same.
Uh-huh.
So,
He was
I
obviously
assume he
working
would-
on it.
I assume he would like start by
Probably
tracing it
sketch
all
it.
and then just paint the image from life. Like
Yeah.
he would have this whole setup and have models come in and just
But I thought we didn't
Try
have
and
any
replicate the
drawings
same
of
thing.
his.
Yeah,
when
but
they
that's
X-ray it, they can see because there's not many use of lines in his drawings, so it's not like he was transferring something from a pre-drawn thing and destroying the image like they think Caravaggio did.
Okay.
He was
like you do a bunch
basically-
of comps, come up
Yeah.
with your final version,
he was just
trace it on the
drawing
canvas.
directly onto the canvas he was working on.
One and done type drawing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he would
Oh,
paint
okay.
over that.
Isn't that what they did? They like flipped his canvases and X-rayed them so they could see
Yeah.
what the negative was.
Yeah.
Then they noticed that he had like no scratched in charcoal or graphite
yeah,
lines
it was
for
just something that he
transfers
went
and
straight
stuff.
for painting.
I mean, you can see a lot of stuff that definitely suggests the use of a camera obscura, like that chromatic aberration around the edges of like
yeah,
the
if you look
figure.
at his finger,
Yeah, like that bright color right there would probably not really occur
Yeah.
naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like this little kind of edge right here.
Yeah, he's really accurate about that stuff. That sort of... Yeah, they said he was a master of chiaroscuro because of the way that light, naturalized light, was hitting the figures and all that stuff.
he knows like exactly where he should lose the edges. Basically.
Yeah, hard
edge.
the contrast between hard and soft edges.
Yeah.
He definitely mastered it.
Yeah,
But-
like look at the highlights on that like floral painting. You
It
know what I
aged,
mean?
like, 22.
that are on like the cloth and stuff. Like shit.
But let's look at this one, the geographer, which is obviously the same model in the same room.
Yeah,
Different lighting.
but it looks a lot brighter and more saturated.
Yeah, it might be
Like the-
earlier in the day. Like you might have just painted it for
Uh-huh.
set hours each day, you know?
I noticed each one is ever so slightly a different angle too, though.
Yeah. Well,
I think he was like,
if he's got a camera obscura, I
Yeah.
assume he can just move it wherever he wants to, you know? So it looks slightly different, but, you know, basically the same room. I mean, it's the same fucking furniture. And is that the same blanket, too? Looks like it. Or
No,
very,
it's a little
very
different.
similar. At
tiny
least.
different, but it could be a different cut of it. But then again, there's another map illustration all the way in the background, which is
Yeah.
one of the things that we see through a lot of his.
and he was about 37 when he painted this.
I feel like I've wasted my life.
Why?
Because I
You
am
have-
37 and I have not done anything this awesome yet.
Yeah, we also hit 22 and wasn't that awesome yet. So
Yeah.
See, what we have to do is build a tiny camera in that shower back there. We'll be set for life, guys.
wait, what?
Make this our camera obscura room.
This will be the camera obscura room.
I thought you were just saying put a camera in the shower.
Oh,
No, turn it into a camera box.
Ah,
A little
okay,
tiny boy
okay,
in a cupboard situation.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Anything
So
else about these paintings before we go into the downfall of Vermeer?
no, let's go into the downfall. That sounds interesting.
Oh, hold on.
Yes.
So
This is why we need a soundboard. So you're
Yeah,
ready.
I know. So I don't have to unlock it.
it all started going downhill in 1672 when Louis XIV invaded, causing basically the Delft. They had dams there and they purposely would break them to flood so that people wouldn't invade them. However, when this happened, all those properties that his mother-in-law owned got flooded. So no money coming in. from
That's a
that.
tragedy later on in life.
Yeah. But it's okay because he still has his patron buying stuff, right? Dies in 1673.
The
Then he's
patron.
fucked, right?
Yeah,
He's still got his
fucked.
sugar daddy. He still
Shit.
knows how to party.
No, that
No,
sugar
he's
daddy
saying the
died.
sugar daddy died.
1673. Dead. He's done.
Shit.
So now
He got.
He's stressed because he has 11 kids. Not that much money coming in. His mother-in-law was very uptight.
What happened to the other 4? 2 to 4.
2 to 4 what?
They
Children?
fucking
2 to 4.
died.
2 to 4 children.
Oh, they died.
They
Who
bit
the
it.
fuck knows? This is 1600.
So I
He had
have
like
a list
15
of his
so
kids
a
here
few
that they
could
have.
survive.
And there's some of them, and the last one just has a child. They didn't even bother naming this one on paper, who died at the age of 4. The other ones are
Wait,
like
on,
Elizabeth,
dang.
Cornelia, and the last one's just a child.
Wait, hold on. So it wasn't like the kid died in childbirth, so that's why they didn't name it. The kid lived till 4 years old, and they still just called
Like,
it
yeah,
just
we'll name him
child.
someday.
Kid 1 and Kid 2.
A lot of this stuff had to do with legal
You can be
documents.
Billy when Billy dies.
That's how they found out a lot of shit
Wait a
about
second.
Vermeer, because he didn't have that much written down in a diary. He was a wholesome boy, so he wasn't starting shit. So they just went back and looked at legal documents.
Yeah.
They didn't bother getting legal document on that kid. So they just know when around he was born
Just-
and
just
died.
child.
Just child. They know there was a child there.
So you're saying Vermeer was a wholesome boy, not a G.
We'll get to that, guys. So
Weird.
Vermeer's,
Let's finish the episode and
Yeah.
then we'll make that determination.
Drink, party,
So-
smoke, or stay the fuck away from.
So Maria, his mother-in-law, didn't really trust him from the start. Like, they just basically last minute decided the only way they can get married is if he becomes Catholic. So he became Catholic, moves in. At the end of this whole 1773 thing, they don't have much money. So she's older. He's not that old yet. She's like, can you do me a favor? Someone owes me some money. Can you go collect this debt? He's like, yeah, sure. I'll go do that. He goes and does it. And then he's like, I can turn this money into more money. And he steals it. And he doesn't turn that money into more money. He gets caught and they have no money now. So this causes him to have
That was from his mother-in-law?
From his mother-in-law.
Oh.
He tried to be a thug and like be a collection guy for a second and blew
he
up in
was
his
just
fucking
like,
face.
I'm going
down.
to turn this money into so much money, and that didn't happen.
So is it fair to say he's the worst criminal in his
He
family?
is. He's like, he's a disappointment to the criminal
So
family.
a wannabe G.
He wanted to be a G. So he gets
Just
caught.
wanted to make you guys proud.
Yeah, he gets caught doing this. And instead of being like, yeah, I stole your money, he's like, I stole money. I'm a disappointment, and has kind of a mental breakdown and dies just like a couple months after this.
Fuck.
His wife wrote something, and I can't tell if he went crazy from the guilt or he was so guilty he just drank himself into an early grave.
I was about to say, how did he die?
He just, they just said he died.
Drink yourself to an early grave.
Liver failure.
So he's dead now. His family, he still has quite a few children at this point.
What do they do?
They have to sell his paintings off to cover their bread bill. Yeah, it's real sad, guys. All these kids need some bread in their life, and all they have are some paintings.
Now you say,
So they
are you
sell
talking?
them off.
Are you talking bread like
The bread you
dough, or are you talking like money?
Mad
No,
cheddar,
bread you eat.
bitches.
Usually
I don't think they
back-
called money bread back in the Delft days.
No, they called it cheddar.
Gotta get paper.
So it's really sad. They have to sell his paintings. They try to keep his favorite one, but they have to sell that one too, so they can pay their bread debt. So
What
they
was
can
his
have
favorite one?
food. I believe it was Girl with a Pearl Earring.
His most legendary work.
Yeah.
So how
Girl with a pearl necklace wasn't exactly too PG
He actually-
for the children to
He
love.
did have one titled that though. We didn't show it, but
Pearl
there is one.
necklace.
Girl with a pearl
Look it
necklace,
up,
which you
guys.
can
Cue
find
the
on
black
Pornhub.
horse.
You can find it on Pornhub.com today.
Don't even type in Vermeer. Just type in Girl with a Pearl Necklace. See what happens. Don't do it at school though. If you're in school.
NSFW,
or work.
not safe
or
for
work.
work.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
work.
or work. So
Probably all our content is
this
NSFW.
gets a little sadder.
Yeah. Yeah.
So back then, Dutch social services would have what's called a best garment tax.
yeah. Oh
They
my God.
would
I
go
was
to
going
your
to cue
house
it in this. Oh my God.
and
This is the
take
worst.
your best threads and sell them
Can I say this?
to support the poor.
Does
And
it-
what
this
they
was-
went to is
What?
Okay. Their version of a death tax was taking your best shirt and or jacket and then selling
like,
it
yo,
off so they had
Yeah.
more money for poor people.
yeah.
Vermeer was so fucking poor,
They
they
wrote-
didn't have
he has-
anything they could flip.
They wrote nothing like 4 times on the tax paper. He has nothing. He has nothing.
So
They
wait,
have nothing.
so like,
Nada.
The government would just be like, "Yo, you see that rhinestone coat? You
Instead
got
of
over
just
there?
eating
Hand
all
that
of your
shit
fucking
over."
property, they just take one thing and donate it to poor people. That was like your
well, I mean,
death tax.
at some point in the world, it kind of transitioned that like you wore your best clothes in your coffin and you were buried with it.
Yes.
Like when did it transition from like them stealing it to you buried with this shit?
or at least it was your second best coat. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
oh.
apparently the Dutch don't give a fuck.
Yo, I want to
Yeah.
be buried with everything I own. Like
When he was buried, he didn't even have money to bury him. His mother-in-law had to flip the
like I'm
bill.
going first. I want everything in our house buried with me.
including the dog.
Like you're probably gonna have to start over.
You're gonna mummify him.
No.
Some Egyptian shit. Build a fucking pyramid for him.
The
No.
dog needs to see me across the river Nile.
See, if I die first, though, I want a Viking funeral. So put all our shit in a boat and set it on fire. Just
On fucking
push me down the
all of our
Susquehanna.
cash. All of our cash that is
Wow,
in the
I-
banana stand.
I can't think of
will be
a
sat
worse
by-
fucking Viking funeral than being
Seriously.
burned on the Susquehanna.
It's about 3 feet deep. It would make it about 20 feet, and it would just turn into a garbage
You'd run into
fire.
like a patch of fucking tires that somebody threw in there.
and made an old
all-
Ford
I'll
Fiesta.
take all of Broome County with me because I set everything on fire.
Yeah.
and another human foot. Like you would just find
Bonus limbs.
and a rum ham.
you would just find another human foot. Do you remember that a few years ago?
in Florida.
Locally. Locally.
I
They found
know.
a human foot in the Susquehanna.
But there was a Florida man story where they decided to give their loved one a Viking funeral, and they put a bunch of fireworks on the boat and
Yes.
explosives, and it exploded and just littered the seaside town.
Yeah.
I love this.
No.
This happened when I died.
Oh yeah. This guy.
die that way.
They interviewed.
That sounds like an awesome funeral. I don't care. I don't care who we are.
They interviewed a dude who was home at the time, and he heard it, and he ran outside, and he said that he was just sprayed by just shit.
Somebody else found a leg on their
No,
roof.
it was the same guy. Yeah. And then he looked up because he was trying to figure out what was going on, and there was just a leg just sitting on his roof, and he was like, should I call the cops or do I just...
Spoiler, they got arrested because no one got a permit to set a guy on fire
Yeah,
in the middle
it's a pretty
of the
like.
water.
Oh,
you
shit,
need permits
guys,
for that
get
kind
a
of
permit. Get a permit. Blow my ass up.
How do you get a permit for a Viking funeral though?
I don't think you do.
I got kids now, man. My kids don't probably want to watch me get blowed up. Fuck.
Your son?
He'd be down.
I
This is what Dad
I don't
wanted.
know.
He wants to fucking throw him on a raft.
For
and
some
just blow him to
reason,
pieces.
Misfits Die, My Darling is just blaring at full volume, and Dad's getting blowed up.
Your daughter would be upset. Your son would be like, this is so cool.
This was his wish, and I will honor it.
Yeah.
He's
I hope my kids are like that with me.
and Reggie's doing the salute.
Oh.
All right,
Giselle.
so does that wrap up Johannes Vermeer?
Yeah,
Hans.
so a summary, basically, he came from a family of thugs. He was super Catholic boy, painted the polar opposite of his life because fucking shit was burning down basically in the middle of town, 11 kids everywhere, brother-in-law poking people in pregnant stomachs. He died poor.
Oh, so
The end.
rough.
He was rich as fuck, though. Like, nobody had
For
art
a time,
dealers.
he was
Yeah.
like super
Yeah.
successful for sure. If he could afford to use that lapis lazuli pigment back then he was
Seriously.
making fucking enough.
Build
money
his
to get
own
it.
little camera obscura / booth.
Yeah,
or
he had like
however he was
cutting edge
working it.
technology for back then. So for a time, he was doing awesome, and then
And
at
then
the end,
1672 happened, and
Yeah.
everything went downhill.
he got.
I think a
fucked.
lot of it had to do with
got got.
his mother-in-law probably provided for the most part for them so they can have a good life. And then he just used the money he was getting from paintings to kind of take care of the family, but mostly put back into his artwork.
He got.
I would have had a beer with this dude for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, Bam. Drink, smoke, do drugs with, or stay the fuck away from.
Depends on the year.
See, I feel like he would be really reserved
Okay.
with a beer, but if you slipped him a roofie, he'd get really loose about it.
Oh, we're going those kind of drugs.
gonna fucking roof you.
I just
One of the
said
greatest
drugs,
painters of all time.
We're going those kind of. Middle age, like 22 to like 30 something. Yeah, have a beer with. After that, just avoid.
Stay the fuck away from.
Yeah.
Hang
Cause
out.
like, hey man, oh my god, have you ever gone to like a big city and then like you're sitting on the bus station and somebody starts giving you like the most elaborate, long, fucking winded story ever? Like,
Yeah.
hey man, I got like 12 kids and I forgot to buy Ritalin, so I need to borrow $5 to go to the hospital because my lady's about to have my 11th kid, and then this one's got to go to the doctor's office, and you're like, how is $1 gonna help you, dude? You have so many problems.
Well, that's
Like
the
you
thing
run
is-
into Vermeer at 30, he's like, I just licked
you a picture.
Yeah.
that's why I want to just stay away.
Yeah.
Because at that point he's in his desperate phase,
Yeah.
and that's the most crazy. Like that's the one that
yeah.
you got to be most aware of is the people who will literally do anything for $1.
On
And,
a side
if he
note-
knows
True.
he knows you got a cup of booze, he's gonna do anything he can
Hey
to get
man,
that cup
that's
of
cool.
booze.
So I got 15 kids at home. That's great. Hey, what's over in that alley? Shank. And then fucking grab your money. Like, I'm sorry, baby. I know I'm Catholic, but I stabbed somebody and you still feel $20.
And on a side note, Reggie did not pull a knife this time.
He did.
Not yet. It's not
Do you want
over
me
yet.
to?
Also, I just want to put it out there. I do not encourage roofing anybody, even an old Dutch master.
Oh.
Yeah, just want to make that clear.
So I would say he was a halfway in between gangsta and good guy.
I think he tried to be a G later in
yeah,
life.
he tried
and he
to and failed
You
miserably.
know what
'cause-
he technically was? In upstate New York, Binghamton hood rat.
He kind of
Pretty
sounds
much,
a
yeah.
little hood rat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was living at his mother-in-law's house trying to just get his rap album off the ground.
He wanted it to
His
be
mixtape.
He wanted to be on SoundCloud, and he couldn't afford the internet.
Pre-SoundCloud.
What's the?
But he
the
was doing
math
everything
thing?
so middle class. Does that mean he was living a ratchet ass lifestyle, but trying to do like a Christian fucking rock album on the side? Be like, ever since we got married and you showed me the way of Catholicism, I just wanted to write an album called Jesus, 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 fucking love you.
So he's not a SoundCloud rapper. He's early Creed.
Probably.
Yeah, probably more like
Because it's like my dad, my grandfather was the counterfeiter, and they just got so sucked into sin that
I don't want to hang out with early Creed.
That's why I want to do drugs with him to make sure that motherfucker don't go down the Jesus road. Be like, you know what you need to do, dude? You need to start stealing money from old ladies and doing this crazy ass drugs with me. What drugs existed in 1650?
Mercury.
Yeah, probably.
That's about it.
Yo, motherfucker, you want to go drink Mercury?
Do you feel like he
Smoke
was
some
like
opium?
Mac from his time? Like, well, first of all, through the power of God, anything's possible. Jot that down.
Hey, just a quick question. Is that the only size cross that we can get for this house? Can we do a bigger one? Maybe with actually a Jesus sculpted to it and maybe some thorns and blood coming up? But that'd be great. I love Jesus. Jesus, 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 Jesus.
Do you think he also was? Anytime his mother-in-law was like, "Hey, do you have any money for rent this month?" He was just like, "Oh no, I had to get some supplies." And she's like, "You got another fucking globe for this room again? How many maps do you need?"
How many mirrors? How many mirrors do you need?
Yeah. Oh my God. Getting shook down like that. Hey, did you make rent this month? So I went ahead and made half a painting. I know my art dealer died, but hopefully somebody will buy it.
By art dealer, you mean sugar daddy.
Yeah, his paint sugar daddy.
Paint daddy.
Paint daddy.
Okay. We drank a lot throughout that. One last question. He did not die in obscurity though, right? He actually sold a lot of artwork
he
throughout
died-
his lifetime.
He did, but I
He's the
think it
whole-
was mostly to that guy.
Yeah, he had a couple of patrons and dealers since he was like
Yeah.
the whole money was just the whole
Most
town
of it
was just
that
flipping
one
money,
dude.
right?
Yeah, because
He
of the
died.
trade.
It was like-
but
He died doing what we're doing.
And as soon as that guy died, he had nothing.
stealing money from their mother-in-laws.
I don't
want to
see money.
About it?
I'm sorry, Evelyn.
Yeah, I think that does it for Johannes Vermeer. though.
Johannes.
Vermeer.
So the next thing we're going to talk about is probably we're going to follow this episode up with a little bit on Tim's Vermeer, which is a documentary, I think that came out in 2012.
Yeah, I think so.
It's directed by Penn and Teller, I think.
I
their-
think it's just Penn.
yeah,
Pendula.
Pendula, and it's about their friend Tim Jennison, I think his name is.
His last name's not Vermeer.
No, it is not.
False
Vermeer.
advertising,
Yeah.
guys.
But basically, this guy who has no artistic experience tries to replicate a painting from one of the greatest photorealists to ever live.
And that's the funny part is that speaking of that, it actually opens with him talking about him, and he's like, "Yeah, I mean, we've known him for like 30 years." And then one day he was like, "Hey, I painted this," and we're like, "Wait, what? you can paint?" He's like, "Nope, I can't." I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay, we need to figure out
he is
what
not
you
an
did.
artist of any sort. He's an inventor. And,
I'm like, we need to figure
but-
out what he did.
we'll get into that in the episode. Save most of that for that. So I guess that's
And Vermeer and Rembrandt were the most famous of the Dutch Golden Age.
The Dutch Little Masters, yeah, because I don't know who the big masters were.
Well, it was technically the same time period as Baroque. So Baroque had its own thing going on, but the Dutch masters had they're slightly intertwined, but a little bit different. It's more like, oh, it's 80s metal.
Question,
Whoa,
though.
it's thrash metal. Whoa.
Is it called Baroque because they didn't have any money?
Oh,
Dude, I will fucking fight you if you do that again. I will Baroque your fucking nose.
all right. On that note,
That is the worst dad joke I've ever fucking heard. Hey, you want to end on a dad joke? Why did the peanut go to the hospital? Because he was fucking assaulted. We're out. Close it. Cut the fucking camera and I'll kill this guy.
All right, we're out of here.
You want to go to the road and do some karate?
Yeah.
Damaged by you, damaged by me. I'm confused, don't wanna see confused.
Speaking of which, I gotta get out.
I gotta pee so bad. That was a little crazy, that episode.